We're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. This is the Keeper's Corner podcast with your hosts, Matt Sterling and Brandon Brooks. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to another edition of the Keeper's Corner podcast. As always, Matt and Brandon are here. And
Hello.
This week we get to break down a couple of Utica victories for you. 12-6 doubling up of the Harrisburg Heat on Saturday night, and then they came back and scored double digits for the third game in a row, topping the Heat 11-8 on Sunday. Brandon, how are you feeling about it?
I'm telling you, so those Christmas sweaters did not give Harrisburg any presents this weekend. It was definitely not their weekend in Harrisburg. They definitely had some good moments. They had some good scores. They had just some overall good moments, but we just had more.
Yeah, I will say I am jealous of those ugly Christmas sweater jerseys because I've been banging that drum for a few years, getting Utica some more specialty event themed ones that just they don't seem to have any interest in doing.
Word to the wise: when you're bidding on a jersey and you know that the end of the auction's coming up, don't go do anything else. I lost Joey's.
Did you get sniped?
I lost Joey's. I wasn't paying attention for a few minutes, and by the time I checked again, I had lost it. So, Joey, I lost your jersey. I'm sorry.
After Katie pointed out that from the back, the red ones looked like they had a black karate belt on, all I could see was like a karate gi for the entire second game.
Yeah, I was surprised they didn't do anything with those. I mean, I it's fine, but I was just a little surprised that they didn't have auctions both nights.
Maybe just something local. I don't know.
Or they did something in-house after the game. We don't know.
Yeah, so 2 games to talk about. I figure we'll take the stat that tells the story, play that changed the game for both of them, and just wrap up a positive takeaway and something that needs to be improved from the whole weekend.
I wonder what that might be.
Probably nothing important, right? Not like an entire aspect of the game. Not a familiar conversation we've had for the past couple seasons.
More so this one too, unfortunately, but
yeah. All right, Brandon, let's get into it then. Saturday night, we're talking that 12-6 game. What is your stat that tells the story?
Well, considering the score and considering kind of what will eventually roll into your or our takeaway from the weekend. There's a heck of a, actually, no, I have 2, but I'll pick one. And it's the one I've actually talked to you about a couple times. I was going to use something else and then I switched like literally just a second. 0, big fat 0, no cards, no penalty minutes, nothing. Super clean game. Like I feel like you don't see that very often. There's usually at least a blue card or something in, I would say, 90% of games. And the fact that you had none, I mean, granted, we still had 13 fouls for Utica and 4 for the Heat, but nothing egregious enough to pull a card. So I don't know. I think that needs to be highlighted, that it was a clean game. Either that or the refs could be just blind, but I didn't see anything on the broadcast that necessarily warranted a card. So, that's just, I don't know. It's not, it's neat to see.
Yeah. It's almost more uncommon than the chippy games that get out of hand and all of a sudden you're looking at 8, 9, 10 cards.
Just a laundry list of cards. Like, we highlight those games. Why are we not highlighting the fact that there was none? No, there was no laundry list.
Yeah, I mean, that does stand out. And it tells you that Utica and Harrisburg played a clean game. Neither team really let anything get to them. And, there were no faked headbutts or.
Yeah.
You all right there?
Wasn't it? I don't know why I didn't expect that one. I didn't expect that one.
My stat kind of just goes a little bit more broad, and that is just the number of players that contributed to this victory. On any game, you have 14 field players. 12 of them collected a point. 7 of them collected 2 or more. 10 of them had a goal. The only one to score more than 1 goal was Cole Stevens with his first half hat trick.
Yes.
Congratulations, by the way, on your first career hat trick. He looked pretty good in the home opener against Harrisburg. Missed a couple chances there with some bad touches, and this was just him cleaning up his game and filling in that role with this offense.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely, he was hammering it home for sure.
3 goals on 4 shots. It's hard to be more efficient.
Very true. No, you got to be 4-4. Got to be 100%. You got to give 100%. You got to do it.
100% every time, huh?
Yeah. 110. Maybe
right.
More.
Yeah, that's just how much of a team effort it was to put up these 12 points.
Yeah, no, it was definitely not. It's not like certain players took control or anything. I mean, it was just very much a widespread effort. I mean, seeing stuff from Keaton, seeing stuff from Cole, TWB. I mean, Logan getting in on the scoring, Gio.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just some that we wouldn't necessarily, well, not necessarily wouldn't see, but just, yeah, it wasn't like certain people just took control of the game. It was just everybody's getting in on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great to see, really.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm just going to say this just real quick. My other stat kind of ties in with your spread of that specific stat, and it has a lot to do with Sogs, because we had about 37 of them compared to Harrisburg's 21. So that was my other original stat, and then I had that moment of clarity, remembering that it was a clean game.
Yeah,
I figured I'd bring it up.
Well, I mean, there were a lot of stats. I pointed out on Twitter that this was the first time that Utica had scored 12 goals in a game since February 29th of 2020. And it'd been over 3 years.
And of course, 3 out of our 4 games have been double digits.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, up until this season, it hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah. This offense is incredibly lethal.
Yes. Yes, they are. We love to see it.
All right. Play that changed the game. And I'll be honest, I've had trouble with that in both of these games. Like,
same.
Yes, in the Harrisburg came out, took the lead in the first one for a little bit. Less than 2 or just over 2 minutes. But they just kind of kept coming and coming and coming. And I guess I'm just going to give it to the entire second quarter was a masterclass for Utica offensively and defensively. You held Harrisburg to 4 shots on goal, 0 goals, and you outshot them 13-4 and scored 4. Like, it doesn't get better than that. That was part of 6 straight goals to open it up and just make this game a no-doubter.
You suck. Yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing. I mean, there really wasn't a specific play that highlighted just the flow of this game. It really, like the rest of the game, was kind of just a team effort across the board. And because of that, the whole second quarter, just Utica comes out, they're coming into the second, basically fresh start, 3-3. And they just said, hey, guess what? Bye. We're going to leave you in the rearview mirror and you're never going to see us again. And then, Harrisburg never got within they never got within 3 after that. They got within 3, but they never got closer than within 3.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just bye. Have a beautiful time. We'll see you later. We'll see you when you come to Utica. And that was basically it. It was just we took control of the game and asserted dominance, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah, I mean, not much more to say about Saturday night. It was a game that shows that Utica can be one of the most dominant teams in this league.
Yep.
You look last weekend. Kansas City came to Harrisburg and played. They won 7-3, I think it was. You went in there, yeah, you gave up 3 more goals, but you scored 5 more. You won by 6 instead of 4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean,
Sunday,
after this... Sorry.
Sunday, we'll talk about in a little bit, but...
All I was going to say is after this weekend, Utica is now one of 3 teams that is undefeated on the season.
Yes.
Because we are right up there with Monterey and San Diego. Somewhere that I wouldn't have predicted that. I don't know. I wouldn't have predicted that on my bingo card. That's for sure. I mean, being right up there with those two. I mean, Kansas City dropping their first one over the weekend, and I don't know. I wouldn't have called half the stuff that's happened this season. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's been a topsy-turvy season, which the parity makes for more interesting games.
Yes. I mean, granted, right now we're riding the high, and we could hit one of the lows eventually, but we're going to enjoy it while we got it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice 4-game stretch to open the year.
Absolutely.
Which, speaking of Game 4, we'll get into Sunday. Same teams, same arena. Couple hours earlier in the day. Once again, Utica opens it up, gets out to a early lead, and Harrisburg just claws its way back.
Yeah, they did.
Utica pulled out ahead again. And then we saw Harrisburg run 6 attacker for the entirety of the fourth quarter.
Yes, they did. Oh, yes, they did. And to their credit, I mean, they came out even from it, technically. I mean, we scored 2, they scored 2, but I mean, one of those came literally with 7 seconds left and kind of not really going to be doing much at that point. But
every goal counts towards that goal differential.
It does. It does. But in this particular game, it didn't mean much.
No.
So.
You got a stat that tells the story in this one?
Do I have to?
I mean,
why you gotta make me do stuff?
Sure.
Oh, I don't know. So I guess I am actually going to go back to what I was originally going to talk about the first game, just in a different context. And that's
Sogs. I know it's coming from a mile away.
Well, so this was kind of a tale of 2 games.
Yes.
And like in the first game, we completely outshot Harrisburg, and it showed. with the 12-6 lead. This game,
37-21 in the first one for those listening.
Yeah. In this one, it was much, much closer. With Utica having 30 and Harrisburg having 27. So, I mean, Harrisburg taking more chances, Utica taking a few less. And overall, just being a much more evenly matched game from that perspective. Now, granted, based on some of the stuff I'm sure we'll talk about, it was kind of Andrew versus a lot of those shots that Harrisburg took. I mean, this man had to have, what was it? He had 19 shots against him with 11 saves. So Coughlin was putting in some work on Sunday for sure. It was definitely a hard fought back and forth, even though the score doesn't necessarily show that. It does if you look at the entire game. But the end goal, the end score doesn't necessarily show what kind of a back and forth this game really was. But the shots do.
Yeah.
So that's
absolutely.
Why it's mine.
I guess mine's basically the opposite from the day before, is where it was a team effort. This team was carried by two young players. Third-year player, Ronaldinho Deniz. Second-year player, Keaton Woods. They had 7 of Utica's 11 goals, both of them collecting their first career hat tricks. Ronnie led the team with 5 points, 4 goals, and an assist. He's looked fantastic, and it's still early in the season, so stat leaders are tight. But he's tied with Mo Ndiaye for the team lead in points right now with 9.
Which is pretty nice. I mean, that's pretty good. Again, the way that this offense is sort of set up, the way that we've kind of talked about a little bit, is look at this hand while this hand shoots and scores the goal. It's kind of how it's played out for a few different things. And so because of that, we're seeing these highlights for Ronaldinho, Mo, Keaton, we're TWB. I mean, those are basically our well, Mo isn't one of the stat leaders, but I mean, top 3 is, Ronnie, Keaton, and Taylor.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those were not the top 3 last year at all. And now these guys are really able to shine just because of the setup of the offense. If you want to, it is one way of putting it. Because as I've mentioned, a lot of people are like, oh God, there's Frank Tayu. And then we're shooting from way over here.
Yeah. Yeah, and some people might say that Tayu's had a disappointing start. He did have 2 goals and 4 assists. He's got 6 points. That's good for third most on the team. He was shut down that first game, but he's contributed every game since. And you can see more often than not what's happening is he gets the ball, and if he's not already man marked, he's getting double teamed. And they're putting pressure immediately on him. Another defender is getting pulled towards him. And teams are just, I guess I can't really say teams because it's been 2. Baltimore and Harrisburg focused so much on Frank that they left other people open.
Yes.
You could see that on the quick counter where Frank had the heel flick to, was it Nilton on Saturday? And then he did the same thing on Sunday to Ronnie.
Yes.
Where they man marked him on the run and then completely left the trailing runner unguarded.
I mean, it's not like he's not getting shots off, because he's literally leading the team on shots. I don't know if you know that.
He's struggling to find the net at the moment.
But that's because of how much coverage he ends up pulling.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not able to make. He's able to make shots. They might not be accurate. They might not be great shots, but a lot of that is the fact that he's just, people recognize that he is a dominant force, and they're scared to let him do anything. And so because of that, he's getting shut down. But you know what? They have a lot of people to worry about on Utica. And so because of that, yeah, he's pulling the attention, but we're making him, we're punishing him for it.
Yeah. Like we said, offensively, this team looks like a juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
They're 40 goals through 4 games. Obviously, averages out to 10. That is the highest average in the MASL, just edging out the Monterey Flash, who have 49 goals in 5 games. And let's remember, one of those games they put up 22 against Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah, but then Dallas turns around and... Sorry, I don't mean to get off track.
No, please.
Then Dallas turns around and, takes the San Diego to the house. I mean...
Yeah, took him right to the wire.
Yeah, that was I didn't watch the entire thing, but what I did watch, kudos. That was a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, offensively great. Defensively, still a bit to be desired. Some more mental lapses. 2 that really stood out were in Saturday's game. Like, that game should have been 10-6, 10-7, 12, before the 2 extras got chipped in at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Or 10-3, 10-4. Not 10-6, 10-7. I'm giving them more. You have the one where Coughlin is setting up Chino as the set piece defender. And Chino looks back to get directions, and that's right when I think it was DePrima took the shot and snuck it past them both. Just not prepared. The whistle had blown. The ball was live. And the other one came when Coughlin had the ball in his hands and then stepped out of the box and gave up that set piece directly at the top.
There was another in the second game, I do believe it was, where for a moment I thought Juan was going to kick the ball right out of Andrew's hands, because Andrew had a hold of it and it literally looked like he was about to just launch it right from his hands. And I had a bit of a freak out moment, just like, oh God, this is not going to end well. He's going to kick it right out of his hands, and the next thing you know, it's going to turn around and come back into the net.
Yeah.
So definitely some miscommunication this weekend for sure.
There were some obviously unlucky ones. The Di Matteo header goal stands out to me, where ball bounces off the boards, weird angle, hits Andrew in the chest, bounces off of him, and then right into Di Matteo's head.
Yeah. That was just a kind of a bit of an unlucky bounce, if you will.
But I went back and I watched a few of the other goals, and I don't know if you saw it as well. Utica is ball watching.
Yes.
What they do great on offense, where they're moving off the ball and crashing the boards to collect the ricochets and deflections in the box and cleaning stuff up that way. They are not doing that on defense. I wish I could remember. I should have written it down, and I didn't, which goal it was in particular. But it was one of Harrisburg's Wallace scoras. And ball came from the right side of the field, off the wall, onto the left side.
Mm-hmm.
All 5 of Utica's defenders were looking to where the ball came from.
Yes.
And were in the middle of the field or on the right side. The entire left side of the field was vacated.
Yes. I don't remember when it was myself, but I do vaguely remember seeing that. And yeah, we very much, I mean, there's a few times that, you know, it wasn't even that they like snuck the ball past us. It was just, I don't know. It's like you said, ball watching, just nobody reacting to just some of the shots that, or some of the action that was taking place on the field, and reacting far too late.
Yeah, Utica's running a lot of zone defense. The Dominic Francis goal stood out to me for where that communication failed.
Yeah.
Logan was on him at the top of the zone. As he's sliding to his right to follow him, Gio steps up and kind of bumps into Logan, which gives Dominic just enough room to open up. And he slots it before Ronnie can step up from the corner.
Yes.
In between Ronnie, Gio, and Logan, all three defenders, because just not talking about where you are, who's stepping, I've got him. They haven't quite figured out how to cycle through on their zone defense yet.
Yeah, defense has definitely been, I mean, we knew defense was going to be a struggle this season, just because of the layout of the team. So we knew that this was going to be a struggle, and there was going to be some issues, some miscommunications, just overall some problems. And we're seeing that, but it's nothing that can't be fixed. It just needs to be fixed.
Yeah, and you really have two games to do it. You have Baltimore this Friday, and you have Harrisburg on Sunday, New Year's Day, the 31st.
Yes.
Or New Year's Eve. Because then after that, you go on the road to Milwaukee, Tacoma, and Kansas City. And then I think St. Louis after that. So you have a 4-game road stretch, and Milwaukee, Kansas City should be contending for the playoffs in the East. Kansas City could be contending for that number 1 seed. And Milwaukee is trying to get back there. They just put up 14 on St. Louis.
Tacoma was the 4th one.
Yeah, Tacoma's the 4th. Yeah, it goes Milwaukee on the 4th, Tacoma on the 6th.
Yes.
The 12th is Kansas City, and the 14th is going to be St. Louis.
13th.
13. Okay, so
almost. You almost got it.
I'm just pulling them off the top of my head, so that's not bad.
No. I mean, like I said, I was just sitting here, like I'm watching, looking at the schedule, you know, listening to you. I'm like, oh man, he's gonna nail it, and so close.
21st is the Outlaws. 28th is Kansas City at Utica, and then I want to say like February 5th is Baltimore.
You forgot another Harrisburg game on the 26th.
Oh, that's great. We'll have 5 Harrisburg games done before February.
Yeah.
I know we're all just kind of hankering for a change of opponent here at this point.
Oh, this was like not this past season. I want to say it was 2 seasons ago, because we went against Baltimore and Harrisburg a bunch of times to start out the season. But unfortunately, at that point, that was at a time when we actually were losing a lot. I think we lost basically all of our games to Baltimore that season. So just about. And so unfortunately, every Baltimore game was just kind of like, more of this, because we're going to lose, or we were assuming that we were going to lose. And then Harrisburg was just kind of like a sigh of relief on those games. And I remember that's somewhat how we started out our season a couple seasons ago.
Okay. Yeah, you're thinking of 21-22, where it went Florida, Baltimore, Harrisburg, Florida, Florida, Baltimore.
Yeah.
Not quite as jam-packed because you had Florida in there to break it up, but your first 7 games are against 3 opponents. Whereas this year, 6 against 2.
Yeah, so it's definitely not any better, but
yeah. Yeah, that brings us to this weekend, Friday night, the 22nd, at the Odd, Baltimore. And that means this is our last podcast before Christmas. So, Brandon, we got a tradition here at the pod. I know you remember it. I know I remember it. Our Christmas list for Utica City.
Ah, yes. What I want for Christmas from Utica City.
Mm-hmm.
How long do I get? How long of a list do I get? How many presents do I get?
Give me your top three.
Top three.
Top three.
Okay. Number one. I want to go into 2024 undefeated. That would be huge for me. Go into this long stretch of away games undefeated. That's number one. If I got nothing else, I'll take that. Number two, I'm torn between so many things. I was going to say, if we didn't have it this past game, which, by the way, we never really even brought up, Timmy's back. So, I mean, if we didn't already have that back, that would have been on my list, was to hopefully be able to get Tim back on the field. But, you know, I saw that bright white headband right away. I'm like, there's a boy. There's Timmy. But number two, I really want to see Frank get a game where he. I want to say this as.
Do you want to borrow from Philly's lexicon here and say where the king wields his mighty scepter?
Absolutely. I want to see a game where he is able to show his true dominance on the field. Mm-hmm. That is what I would like. I want to have a game that highlights what he can do to silence any doubters that I'm sure are creeping up in Utica from the fan base. I'm sure there's some people that are like, why did we get rid of Steph for him? I can safely say I am not one of those, because I've seen that. You know, I'm, you know, it's not exactly a secret that my second favorite team in the league is the Strikers. And so I watched plenty of games of his in the past. And yeah, like I've seen what he can do. Long-winded response, but you know.
Well, yeah.
And number three, real easy. Just clean up the defense. Just clean it up. You know, yes, we've got some great tools on the back end. You know, we've got Nelson, we've got Logan, we've got Mo. Like Hundelt's a fantastic one that's been contributing in all facets of the field, but on defense as well. And we've got some great players. We just need everyone on the same page. And we're getting close to the point that I think we start seeing that, but it would be a great Christmas gift to fast track it before this long trip, like you mentioned.
Yeah. All right. Well, mine starts
number
with
4. Sorry. Number 4. Stop making me go first for everything.
I feel bad taking it first because then you yell at me for stealing things.
I had to call you out.
Stop letting me do what I tell you to make me do. Well, number one on my list, if you listen to the pod, you know I'm a big fan of defense. Get Andrew Coughlin help.
Yes.
But specifically, get Andrew Coughlin James Togba. St. Louis isn't going anywhere this year. He's fast. He's a defender. He's familiar with the franchise. Bring back James Togba.
Oh, yeah.
He's got 3 goals in the 5 games already, 5 block shots. He's healthy this year. It's unfortunate that he had that severe concussion last year that knocked him out. Bring him back. I want to see what he can do in this system.
Yes, that would be. Oh, I mean, I already have said I miss Togba, but yeah, no, he would absolutely shine in this setup for sure. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, I lost.
Number 2, finished 2023 undefeated.
Yeah.
You have to defend your home turf. You can't lose to Harrisburg. And you'll fight it out with Baltimore, but they're in a rebuild. They just lost to Tacoma, and they did not look that good in it. Their passing was not crisp. Their fans have noticed it. Their public pleas to the fan base to be patient and understand the rebuilding and everything kind of come across a little desperate. And the fact that they have less fans in attendance in 2 games than Utica has in 1 tells you why.
Yeah.
When somewhere between $150,000 and $450,000 goes missing from the team bank account, and then you're not getting butts in seats, you're going to hit that panic button.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can definitely tell that they're in I almost said crisis management, but that's not what I'm thinking of. They're in damage control mode. Yeah, I was close. Just didn't have the right terms. I knew what I was thinking. Just I couldn't convey that to everyone else. But I knew. That's all that matters is I know.
Yeah.
I know what I'm thinking.
Well, I knew what you were thinking. That's why we got there at the same time.
No, I am definitely sinking. My head is just sinking way down because it's just not working anymore. I got to trade it in.
All right, number 3 on my list. You know how on football games they'll have the players say their name and like the little clip of their head, and then put that into the broadcast so you hear their name pronounced? Do that, and then send it to every other broadcast team. Neil and DeAndre, Frank Teo. Like, he is the LeBron James of indoor, and you can't pronounce his name right? Come on. Mo Ende.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the next day it was Mo Di. And I'm like, if you combine the two, you have the correct pronunciation. But
I mean, granted, that was 2 different people, or 3 different people technically, but
Rafa Godoy. How do you get Godoy right and not Rafa? Where did the I come from? And we know Baltimore just doesn't care enough to get names correct.
Or also know what players are actually playing.
Yeah, that too.
I don't know if you caught that on Sunday or not. They said that Mo was out.
Yes, yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's Mo right there. But
he's standing there. He's on the field, sir.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an honest mistake, but yes, the pronunciations are getting a little obnoxious because these are not. It's not like these are new names. These have been around.
No. This is Rafa's 4th year, Nilton's 2nd, Frank's 12th, 10th, 12th.
Yeah. It's not like they're new players.
Honestly, with the CK at the end of his name, I'm surprised they didn't go, yeah, that's Frank Tayu.
You got me with that one.
It's like, every year we kind of get the same spiel from the league about how we're upping our standards and improving and getting better. And we get the same out of focus cameras and broadcasts that can't even that don't know the players or care to do any research beforehand to learn anything about them.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because you have some broadcasts in this league that are absolutely phenomenal. where the play-by-play and color go above and beyond.
Yes.
Obviously, our own Ray Biggs, Philly and the Doctor, Nick Vasos, Eric Bergrud. I can't think of the Craig Elston, and I'm sorry, I cannot think of his co-commentator on the San Diego Sockers.
Yes.
Look, whether you find them annoying or not for any of these broadcasts, they know what they're talking about, and they know they do the research and the effort, and they care, and they're trying to bring you great products.
And if we could actually understand anything that is being said, we would probably say the same things about the ones that are south
In
of
Mexico,
the border.
yeah.
But we aren't that smart.
Yeah, I did
We're
5
from
years of
upstate
Spanish
New
in high
York.
school. Yeah, it's not like I've had a chance to use it to practice.
Yes, but they are definitely very entertaining down there as well. I mean, we just can't understand anything.
Yeah. Just effort, standards. Like, you want to bring this sport back, bring it to the masses. How many people are just going to tune out because the broadcasts are not good?
Are you saying you want to bring the massel to the masses?
I mean, if we had a team in Massachusetts, we could bring the massel to the masshole masses.
I remember, actually, now that you must say that, I remember somebody in one of the chats talking about that one of the Utica Harrisburg games over the weekend. I definitely remember somebody talking about that. You know, they were from Massachusetts, and they're like, "Boy, I wish we had a team out here." It's like, yes, please, I would love that.
I think there used to be in Springfield in one of the various iterations of the indoor leagues. But
hey, I mean, if they get one in Massachusetts, maybe we see the return of Lake Kennewick. That'd be cool.
You never know. You know, there's someone in the chat being like, I want to see one in Syracuse and Buffalo. It's like, well, Buffalo had one, that one folded, and Syracuse moved to Utica.
Yeah. I remember that one. I remember that because it's like Utica is what Syracuse was. Mm-hmm. You are looking at the Syracuse team. And then I remember that because of that, I brought up, you know, I loved our trips out to Rochester.
Yeah.
That was great. I mean, I know that I say this in the most respectful way possible, but the caliber of Rochester just wasn't up to MASL 1.
Right.
And because of that, you know, it was a great trip. It was a great fan base. It was a great team. It just couldn't hold its own. But man, I love those trips out there.
Mm-hmm. And not just because of the meal or the fun that we had in the ride.
No, it wasn't just because of the fun we had in the ride, but that definitely contributed.
Superstructures and
superstructure, which we had a lot of those over the weekend too.
Yes, yeah, it's bound to happen on that dirt field there at Harrisburg. Hard pack, gonna bounce.
Bouncy.
All right, so there's our Christmas list. Friday, 7 p.m. Adirondack Bank Center at the Utica. Adirondack Bank Center at the Utica Memorial Auditorium. Utica, Baltimore. Second time they meet this year. First time on our turf. How do you see this going down? Because I see a 9-6 win for Utica.
9-6.
9-6. Utica offense is great. Defense a little porous. And even though Baltimore, you know, tends to struggle on the bigger turf, they did handle strikers on theirs. So they'll be competitive. And there's already bad blood this season between these two teams. So
it didn't take long.
No, it did not.
I don't know. I see Utica coming away with a win at home.
Okay.
That's the big key thing here is that, last year when we started losing or started winning against Baltimore, it started, if I remember correctly, it started at home. And then we did take it down there and we did win at least once down there as well. But I could see this I definitely see it being a high scoring game for both sides. So, the fact that you mentioned 9-6, I can definitely see that being the case. And the fact that, both keepers have roughly about the same average of goals against. I think Zierhofer's like a 6, and I think Andrews like a 6 1/4, 6 1/3, something around there. So it's really close. So if Utica can clean up the defense just a little, and they can just keep hammering it home, which I'll bring that up in a second too, because I wanted to bring that up before we ended. But I am going to say, and I know I just have such a dramatic pause on all of this, just yakking before I say it. I'm going to say we're going to continue the double-digit trend.
Okay. Going big or going home, huh?
And I'm going to say it's almost a double digit. I'm going to say 11-9.
Okay.
It's going to be a very high scoring.
A lot of offense all around, huh?
Yes. A lot of offense, less so defense. And the thing that I wanted to bring up, something you've wanted for a very long time from this team. Don't let up. Kick them while they're down. They go down, you just keep going at them. And we've seen that a few times, at least the 2 times in Harrisburg, for sure. Harrisburg's down. We did not let off the gas. We kept on, especially the first night. We kept on the gas and just foot to the throat, like, stay down. So, and that's something I know you specifically have asked for years. And they're starting to deliver. At least this season, they are very much delivering on that. So I figured you, of all people, would be pretty happy.
It's a pleasant surprise to see at times. Where you keep that pace instead of just trying to grind the clock down, and all of a sudden it lets the other team back into it.
Yeah, so that's been, and I think that's also contributed to why we end up having these double-digit games. Is we're not letting up. We're not letting a couple goals affect us, as we've seen with both games where Harrisburg came, as you said, clawed back twice to tie it up, and then we just said, nah, we'll see you later. So
yeah, it's a nice change of pace from a few years ago where you might get up 3 or 4 goals and then all of a sudden it's back to a 1-goal game or tied, and you're sitting on the edge of your seat, hoping that Utica can pull it out. You all right?
I want to say something, but I don't want it to sound rude.
Okay.
Do we think it is a possibility that part of the reason why, when these teams are coming back at us, or like both games, we literally went out ahead and then they caught up. Now, in past years, that would be very demoralizing. Like, oh man, we got this great lead and now it's gone.
Right.
Do you think that could be part of the reason why it might not affect us as much anymore is because we don't have a certain captain anymore? Because out of everyone on the team, something like that would have affected him the most. And you know it, because that would make him extremely frustrated. It would then trickle down to the rest of the team. And again, for those that don't know, I'm talking about Bo Yelovitz. And I love Bo. I love him to death. He was an amazing, amazing captain. Great person, great player. But it's just a thought that crossed my mind that, in the past, if we start going down or we start, we're on a great streak and then all of a sudden it gets ripped away, 4 goals, 4 goals. And, the other team comes back and just ties it right back up. I don't know. I feel like maybe it may have something to do with it. Just a change in, we'll say, leadership on the field. But I could also just be overthinking it, honestly. But you know what? If I don't think about it and I don't get my thoughts out there, then what's the point?
I don't know. I do know that I think a big difference is these swings have come very fast and early.
Yes.
Where there's a lot of time where you can dig yourself out. It's not sitting on a lead in the 3rd or 4th quarter and watching it slowly chip away.
True. Very true. Everything Utica does is fast at this point, though.
Yeah.
Fast leads, fast comebacks, everything.
I will say, as a fan watching that second game, even knowing the outcome, I was like, are you kidding me? How do we let these guys back into it again? The same thing you did yesterday.
And that's why I brought this up.
Just mental lapses, and if it happened before, it was kind of like the 4th quarter, where you're playing on your heels and just getting beat. Whereas this is mental miscues and not taking plays off, but not playing in position to, cover the deflections and rebounds and everything else you see in indoor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Where in the past it felt like, oh God, they're just grinding us down. This is like, yep, they took our punch and swung right back with a sucker punch, and we didn't even try to defend it.
Right. I don't know. It was just an errant thought. I mean, am I saying that, Bo is to blame for any time when we lost and, it was lost when the team came back? Absolutely not. That is not at all what I'm saying.
Right.
I just know that out of everyone on the team, he absolutely took those types of things very much to heart. When things started going poorly, and he was the first one to show frustration. And that bleeds down, that trickles down to the rest of the team. So I don't know. Again, very random thought, and all the love in the world to Bo, but it was just a random thought that occurred to me. So I figured I'd bring it up.
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting thing to keep an eye on as the season rolls along.
And now I will be burned at the stake.
Yeah, I think you're banned from the beer garden.
I was going to go there on the 31st
too. Anything else you want to add to this episode?
I've already signed my death warrant.
Well, hopefully everyone will be at the odd Friday night if you aren't already out of town for Christmas at that point. Pack it, make it loud. It's Baltimore. It's a rivalry game. You want to be there. The atmosphere is going to be great. Everyone, there have been a lot of comments on social media being like, hey, who are we going to boo now that Nelly's on our team? And, we're even social media, even the This Is Utica commercials are like, all right, we're done booing him.
Great commercial.
Yes, fantastic.
By the way, awesome commercial. I mean, I have a target, but
I mean, so do I. His name is Arujbu. You know,
I don't know.
you yelled about Nelly. Well, he's Mbelly because he got yellow carded for embellishment.
I don't know. There's always been certain people on the blast I'm not a huge fan of.
Yeah.
You know, one of those being Dos Santos. I don't know why. Nothing against him as a person, just on the field. I just don't like him.
It's that proctology exam.
I think that's what it dates back to. Yeah. So, you know, if I have to pick anyone, it's going to be him.
Yeah. Yeah, let's come home with a win for Christmas. Go into the holidays happy and excited, and celebrate at 72. Which, if you haven't get your reservation in for pre or post game, I think like 150 to 200 people showed up after the last one. So, on a Friday night, expect it to be packed again.
Especially going into the holidays.
Yeah.
It's going to be a packed house. No, as long as the odd's packed. That's what we want.
As long as the odd's packed, and the odd better be packed.
Pack the odd. Pack 72 for a victory after the game. Let's do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Thank you for listening. As always, he's Brandon. I'm Matt. Go Utica.
Dogs.
Thank you for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast on whatever podcast app you use. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to interact with us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it. We have a TeePublic shop where you can get UCFC player swag or help support the podcast. Thank you. We appreciate it. And one last thing. Go Utica City.